So I leave it to do his bit.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thanks, Ahmed, for the introduction. I'll just make some remarks from my personal knowledge and experience of Bona, and also partly as for myself as an example of a researcher here in this institution, Oxford University, which was how and where I first met Bona in 2002 or 2003. I was a young research student working on political and conflict issues in Sudan and South Sudan. And over the 24 years, 22, 23, 24 years after that, I met Bona on many occasions in Oxford during my research and after my research, and then with the Sudanese program. And I also met him in Khartoum on numerous occasions and in Juba as well. And from my knowledge, my experience of Bona over this 20 plus years, I have three lasting memories. Firstly, it's the memory of his generosity with time, with his time. I could see how generous he was to South Sudanese and Sudanese with his time, here in occasions here in St. Antony's, and occasions when I saw him in South Sudan and Sudan, where I would be meeting him with others, perhaps in a social setting typically, and always he would take the time when other people at the venue, staff working there, or other visitors, would want to come up to him and say, Uncle Bona, and have a few words. And I could see he would always take the time for those words. And to outsiders, foreigners, Khawajahs like myself, he would always give us time to talk. And he would give his time sometimes for quite private conversation, generously. In Juba, over a period, I used to go for walks with him and in the outskirts of the city during the time when he was playing a leading role in the South Sudan National Dialogue. And I would meet with Bona, and I found out at some point, I knew before that he liked walking. I liked walking as well, and at some point I gathered, oh, maybe I could join you on your walks in a constrained environment, walking on the outskirts of Juba on roads. But it was, again, a small example of his generosity with his time. So that's my first lasting memory. The second lasting memory was his clarity of thought and the clarity of his memory, the lucidity, as David Bassiouni mentioned. His memory could be so detailed. He could very effortlessly bring up anecdotes and relate stories from 3 years ago or 30 years ago or longer, from his childhood. I remember once being in a car with him in Juba, and on a back street him saying, oh, what had been there 50, 60, 70 years ago. And his memories from his long life ranged from the very local in back streets in Juba through to the international. The many environments that he seemed to move between effortlessly, from South Sudan, Sudan, Africa, Middle East, Europe, United States, in his periods in his political and diplomatic and ministerial roles and academic roles. So that's my second lasting memory, this clarity of thought and memory. And then my third lasting memory is what I would call what seemed to me to be his commitment to South Sudan and Sudan, to the peoples. Commitment to what? Commitment seemed to pursuing a better future. As Salwa said, he showed a commitment to liberal democracy and to education and learning. And his commitment to Sudan and South Sudan was repeatedly shown in his life, demonstrated by his biography, his achievements and roles over his life, and demonstrated through to these later years by notably the national dialogue in South Sudan and his key role in that. And that dialogue was the embodiment of a commitment to dialogue with a small, as Aldo Adjo mentioned, this contribution to dialogue, and as also reflected in his role in the Sudanese program here in Oxford, which has been a forum for inclusive dialogue. So that last item, that last of the three memories that I have, his contribution to and demonstration of what dialogue is and can be. For me, that's central to his achievements and legacy, and I hope it will be a lasting contribution to South Sudan and Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Richard.